Well, we are preparing for our main event, the Junior Middleweight Championship, the WBO version. It is the rematch between Verno Phillips and Santos Cardona. They fought once before, as you well know, and it was a terrific battle. Santos Cardona fought better at this weight than many people thought he could, Dave.
And he's got that good record of 29-5 with the 19 knockouts, averaging more than 100 punches around. Early in that bout, he came up. He looked very quick, very sharp. Maybe the best we've ever seen him.
And Verno Phillips, a fine young fighter who probably thinks strategically he could do some things differently this time, even though he won.
He'd like to switch more than he did in the last fight, as in the second half of the fight he did that very well. A very good and sterling record for Verno Phillips. He's got a pretty good balance of power and boxing ability as well. And fighters, when they get that second chance, always feel there is something that they can do a little better than the time before. And Santos Cardona wants to go to the body. He's done that well in his wins throughout his career. As you look at these AutoZone keys to victory, he also does not want to fade. The second half of the last fight was Phillips's. For Phillips, switch effectively. He did that in the second half of the first fight. And lateral movement, if Cardona goes to the body well, he doesn't want to make it easy for him. And in the WBO, the 10-point scoring system in effect, standing 8 count, 3 judges score the fight, 3 knockdowns in any round would end it. The standing 8 would count as one of those knockdowns, and a fighter can be saved by the bell only in the last round.
All right, you have the rules. There is Santos Cardona, the gentleman who was one of the top-rated welterweights, moved up to junior middleweight for the match with Verno Phillips, and fought better, as I said, than some people even thought he could fight at that weight. Was coming off a loss to Pernell Whitaker, but one in which he actually performed very well. And Santos Cardona got the job done to a great degree against Phillips, even though that close loss.
And you wonder if he can come back and get to that level again. Does a fighter have 2 of those kind of bouts in him in a short period of time? Usually not. Usually one fighter goes higher off his performance than the time before, and one goes lower.
So this 29-year-old from Puerto Rico, sporting the colors of Puerto Rico on his robe, a likable young man, as is Verno Phillips. You almost hate to see anybody lose in a situation like this.
So in a way, you were happy to see them get back and you have a real winner today. And Verno Phillips is simply glad for the opportunity to try to do some things better over the last fight. He wasn't happy with the speculation and the controversy over the verdict, but he left with his title.
And there is Verno Phillips as he trots in. He has the WBO junior middleweight crown, a crown he won from Lupi Aquino back in 1993. It was a vacant crown when he won it. He has defended it twice, including the win over Santos Cardona. He would like to take on one of the other junior middleweight or super welterweight champions. But first, he's got to get by Santos Cardona in a rematch that was mandated because, in fact, the last time they fought, 2 of the judges had very wide margins for Phillips, and while you might not at all quarrel with Phillips winning the fight, the margins were too big.
That had to be a very close fight on any scorecard. A point either way, you could say, but certainly not 6, certainly not 4, and the WBO brings these guys back.
So we have waited for this match since November, when they first got it on in New Orleans. Let's go to the center of the ring for Chuck Cease.
Ladies and gentlemen, World Championship Boxing on ESPN is brought to you by Top Rank Boxing in association with Fisticuff Productions, Dell Promotions, and Budweiser, the undisputed, undefeated king of beers. Proud to be your bud. Presenting tonight's professional boxing action. This bout is sanctioned by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. The commissioner is NFL Hall of Famer, the Honorable Chuck Bednarik. The executive director is Greg Serb. This bout is also sanctioned by the World Boxing Organization, represented tonight by the new president, Francisco Valcarcel. The physicians at ringside are Doctors Frank Romascavage and Walter Brennan. The timekeeper at the bell and counting for the knockdowns is Billy Reese. The judges for the main event tonight are from Scranton, Pennsylvania, Mr. Jackie Castellani. From Lawnside, New Jersey, Mr. John Stewart. And from Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Gino Rodriguez. Your referee for the main event, working his 63rd championship contest, is Rudy Battle. And now, from the fabulous Fernwood Resort and Country Club in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, here is your main event. And now the participants. First, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue trunks with red and white trim, weighing in at 153 pounds. He is from Toa Baja, Puerto Rico. Please welcome the challenger, Santon Cardona. Cardona. His opponent is fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trunks, weighing in at 152¼ pounds. He is from Troy, New York. Please welcome the WBO Junior Middleweight Champion of the World, Verno Phillips.
Okay, gentlemen, you've both received your pre-fight instructions. I expect a clean contest. Let's touch gloves.
There is Verno Phillips putting his title on the line again against the man from Puerto Rico who gave him so much trouble the first time, Santon Cardona. We have looked forward to this match, and the first one was great. No reason to expect this one not to be either. Now remember, if you saw that first match, Santon Cardona was able to come out very quickly in the first couple rounds, had Verno Phillips down early in the second round, and then Phillips kind of caught his second wind, got himself organized, and started to box more effectively.
And we saw a big switch in styles during the bout by Verno Phillips. He was able to do it for a sustained period of time in the second half. He says he will do it more in this bout.
There are the knockout ratios of these two fighters, and in a way it's deceiving because Cardona was at the welterweight limit. Now he's fighting at a weight higher up, although he was the guy that knocked Phillips down in the first fight.
Graphic indicating they're both on a similar level of power, meaning that they have to wear opponents down to get them out of there.
Now, Phillips, early in this fight, not exchanging so much with Santon Cardona, although we were only early in the first round. And he told us he wanted to box more, which was effective for him in the second portion of their first fight.
And if he moves more, which is one of his keys in this fight, he will keep the body punching of Cardona to a minimum. A couple of fighters who know each other very well, and they're a tad cautious here in the opening round.
Right hand gets in there by Verno Phillips. Cardona now trying to cut the ring off on Phillips as Verno moves from side to side. Cardona was able to land a lot of combinations in the first fight, but it's hard to do when your opponent is giving you this much movement. But there you see Cardona, a good left hook. But Phillips comes back with his own left hook, and this is where the action favored Cardona in the first fight.
Cardona will have to gamble more, it seems, to get inside during this bout, as opposed to the first bout where Phillips had him come straight in. Cardona will have to work his way in more in this fight.
Phillips is not normally a quick starter, so under the best of circumstances, this is what he would expect in a fight. He's just happy to be getting through this first round and doing fairly well and boxing a little bit here and there and not getting hit with anything. And he may be setting a little bit of a tempo for himself.
And also to Cardona, so he knows that it will not be easy to get on the inside in this bout.
So we'll come back to round two and see if Phillips stays a little more stationary and if Cardona can get inside on him.
Now watch Phillips get underneath and score with a nice uppercut during round one.
We head into round two. The WBO junior middleweight battle. Champion is Verno Phillips in the white. The challenger, Santos Cardona, in the blue. They did it before on November 9th here on ESPN. It was a great fight. They are doing it again here at the Fernwood Resort.
Well, we're seeing more right hands from Phillips earlier in this bout than the last one. He's able to score with the right hand. As he gets Cardona coming to him, he's able to plant a little bit and score with it.
Look at the punches, and an indication that Verno Phillips was moving a lot, not punching very accurately. Good body work by Cardona, and this is the posture in which Cardona would like to see this entire bout fought.
He loves his body shot routine here. He was able to do it in the first fight. Get back inside there. Get inside the jab of Phillips. Phillips knows he's got to go inside and score with his left hook there, but get the jab going, get outside. That's really his tick.
Just about halfway through round 2. It is scheduled for 12. And there's no question, from a strategic standpoint, Verno Phillips didn't want these to be the most scintillating rounds on earth, these early rounds. He wanted them. He, I think, even acknowledged he might lose some of these early rounds if he could just get through it and set the pace.
He would be happy to, halfway through the bout, have it even, knowing that he has the ability to come on strong and dictate, in his mind, the second half of the bout.
Earlier in our show, you saw the numbers from the bout, and they threw many, many, many punches. As we go on, I'm going to give you some comparisons to that first fight. Good body work by Santos Cardona.
Usually the sequel is never equal, but it can be good. It's never usually the same type of a fight. There's always a significant change made from one fight to the next.
Under a half minute left to go in round 2, and we'll keep you right here and be listening in. There's the good work by Cardona when he gets Phillips in the corner. Good left hook, though, by Phillips. And Phillips landed a lot of left hooks to Cardona the last time, and they really wanted to try and neutralize that weapon this time. That'll do it for the second round. We will follow Verno Phillips into his corner. Let's listen in.
Remember, you can clinch, okay? Grab him. You can grab him. When he gets too close to you against the rope, grab him. You can grab him, then get out of there. Okay? Well, if you see the shots, take him.
Kevin, put this behind his back. Listen, pal.
And Phillips able to score with the right hand as he gets Cardona coming in, but Cardona keeps coming. Does his good body work inside. That's where the battle lines of this fight have been drawn, right in front of you there.
Spanish will be the language of choice in that corner as Santos Cardona gets some last-minute instructions. And we head into round 3. The WBO Junior Middleweight Championship with Verno Phillips in the white, the champion, and Santos Cardona in the blue, the challenger. Santos Cardona, as a welterweight, was one of the top contenders. Fought all the top welterweights over the time. Terrence Ali, Livingstone Bramble, John Meekins, Miguel Santana, Kevin Pompey. Even fought for the title against Verno Whitaker. Lost to him in 1994 in what I contend might have been Verno Whitaker's greatest performance. I mean, he was so tough.
Cardona's, too.
Yes, you're right. Santos Cardona fought well and yet missed 700 punches against Verno Whitaker, which is extraordinary. Good right hand underneath by Cardona. He's using the jab as a rangefinder. He tries to work his way in against Phillips.
Cardona trying to walk through that jab now of Phillips, looking to plant that right hand. He just showed it to him there. He would like to really pop it loose. be gritty on the inside as Cardona is attacking. Phillips trying to come up the middle.
Halfway through the third round, and it's a round in which Santos Cardona has continued to get some good things done, using jab as a rangefinder and working the body relentlessly as he did in the first fight. That one's straight a little low.
When Phillips is not using his jab and he's going straight back, it's the Cardona slugfest.
In many ways, Dave, except for the knockdown, this is reminiscent of the first fight because Phillips is giving away these early rounds, although the judges didn't agree with us last time.
They didn't in the first round. There was a lot of circling by Phillips. That was certainly different. Cardona really putting the pressure on in round two. We see a lot in the center, and we don't see Phillips switching yet.
No.
We saw him switch a lot in that last fight.
And he was very effective when he switched to lefty. That's always been one of his best ploys. So, 25-year-old Verno Phillips defending his title, but doing it in a cautious way so far against Santos Cardona. But don't be deceived. He is a very good fighter in the middle and later rounds. Big right by Phillips.
Cardona maintains his poise and just keeps coming forward.
Right hand gets there by Verno Phillips. They go to war at the end of round three. Expect more of that.
This ski season, just don't think snow, think savings.
It won't show up on the box score. Santos Cardona goes a little low, and it's not called.
And that's because Verno Phillips was doing such a good job of defending his body. We are into round four. And it has been an intriguing strategic battle, if a little less action-filled than the first fight so far.
And now we see the switching by Verno Phillips that he promised. Switches for the first time in the fight, and he did it very well.
He is good at that.
And Cardona answers with a switch of his own.
A very good ploy. Don't you think always I've thought that when fighters switch, you switch back and get them out of it, and it did get Phillips out of it.
You take it away.
There you see the numbers, and in fact, not a huge edge, but look at the numbers thrown. Cardona throws so many more.
And even less than the first fight, which is hard to believe, but he was averaging more than 100 in the first 3 rounds of that fight. He was really opening it up. But in this fight, I think he's a little bit more economical.
You know, they told us today that Cardona was going to deal with Phillips switching. They didn't tell us he was going to switch, and frankly, I didn't think about it. I thought they would just do so strategically as a righty. What a fine move to do that. And guess what? It sent Phillips back to the righty stance on a heartbeat.
And he'll be ready to do that every time Phillips starts to move. But in order to do that, a fighter has to be very effective from that side. It can't be a totally bad side for him. You don't have to be a big bomber from that southpaw style, but just be good enough to neutralize.
Another low blow by Cardona. And Rudy Battle now giving him a warning. That's the second bad one, so they may start taking points away from Cardona.
And Cardona lost a point in the first fight.
Another one low by Cardona. And Rudy Battle says, keep it up. And he doesn't mean continue. He means get him up. Well, Cardona likes to go to the body, but Phillips is doing such a good job, and Phillips goes low himself.
Cardona is crouching into his hooks to the body. He's getting down low, and as a result of him getting down low, his punches start lower, and then they end lower, too low.
Feel the pace picking up. They both throw low punches. Rudy Battle's going to have to start taking points away pretty soon. Good hook on the inside by Cardona. Well, you can tell by the action and the sounds of our voices, things are starting to heat up here. Good body work. Both men committed to going downstairs. And there's Phillips with the hook that he landed so often in the first fight. Round 4 is history, and things are starting to be as they were in November. There's Verno Phillips. In the background, you see Kevin Pompey kind of sneaking off to the side. Kevin, of course, a fine welterweight that you've seen many times here on ESPN. He fought and lost to Santos Cardona in a thrilling match here on this network.
And somebody who we've seen in many of our end-of-the-year, fights-of-the-year type highlights, a human highlight reel.
He's in all of them. Again, downstairs from Cardona. So here's my question to you, Dave. Who do you think is going to be the first guy to lose a point to low blows?
And which round?
Yeah, and which round?
We'll have to predict that. Cardona's numbers are going up now. He threw 106 punches in round 4. He got his numbers back over 100 for the first time. That's where he was in the first fight. His punches have gone up every round. And I've got Cardona in a bit of a lead, and there he goes again. Started it this time to go to the southpaw style.
He's the first one to do it. That was intriguing. We never saw that in the first fight. Phillips, of course, is known to switch. And they are picking up the pace. Phillips trying to box but still punch now. There's a different demeanor about him, don't you think? He's moving but punching more often.
Yeah, and these guys do so many subtle things well that you have to look kind of closer to appreciate the switching of Cardona to the southpaw style, the different looks that are being shown here. These guys have a lot. They're not big punchers, but they do many things very well.
Halfway through round 5, and it's scheduled for 12. The WBO Junior Middleweight Title of Verno Phillips, who's in the white, is on the line against Santos Cardona.
I'll tell you, Phillips is gambling with his title thus far, waiting for Cardona to come to him. It's a tough way to win. You have to be far more accurate, and you really have to expose the other fighter for making a lot of mistakes.
Good right hand by Phillips. Now, not everything Cardona throws lands, and he does miss a lot of punches, a lot are blocked, but he throws so many that his share will get in. That was Phillips' contention when he looked back at the tape. He said, I thought Cardona missed a lot of punches in the last fight.
But to get the rounds, you have to make it look to the judges like you've really created a lot of flaws in your opponent. You have to make them look bad missing those shots.
Good uppercut by Phillips as he continues to move now, moving to his right. Boy, I have seen few fights in which the body punching has been so done with such resolve. About the 4th warning from Rudy Battle to Cardona for low blows. No question Santos has thrown more than Verno Phillips. There's a warning to Phillips just to even things up. Well, the theme of this song is south of the border. We'll be back for more.
It comes on, and Phillips comes up. That shot's been there. We'll look for more of that from Verno Phillips, that uppercut.
We head into round 6. We're approaching the halfway point of this match. Al Bernstein along with Dave Von Tempo. It's the rematch of Verno Phillips in the white and Santos Cardona in the blue. And Dave, I get the impression these guys could fight 100 rounds and it would be just as easy.
And it might be just as disputed at the end of each fight as to who won because of the different mannerisms they have when they fight.
I don't know why this comes to mind. It's from a long time ago. Emil Griffith and Luis Rodriguez, who had 3 great fights in the 60s. I remember as a kid watching those fights. They were so close every single fight you could barely discern who won. Griffith won 2 of the 3, but they could have fought forever and had close fights.
Some matchups are just perfect that way. And Cardona with a pretty good landed edge and good numbers of punches being thrown. This fight very tight, just like the first one.
Almost a replay of the first fight. Possibly a few fewer punches thrown, but not that many.
But now here's the thing. If Phillips, say, gets out of the first 6 rounds, stealing a couple of those rounds, and then goes into the part of the fight where he likes to excel, that will be a big storyline in this bout.
Through round 5 in the last fight, Cardona had thrown 497 punches and landed 152, and Phillips had thrown 321 and landed 143. It is, in fact, almost identical. They're just landing not quite as many.
And one difference, no knockdown to affect the scoring in this bout so far.
So, boy, look at Cardona. I got to tell you, he has been very low with those shots. So here comes Phillips with a low blow.
He's been lucky nothing has been taken away thus far.
And here's what I think. And Rudy Battle's a very fine referee. If he's going to take a point away, I'd rather see him do it early so it doesn't look like he impacted the fight in the very late round.
You don't want to see it in the 10th round. Even if he's following the school of thought, that several warnings have to precede the point.
Nice left hook after a terrific legal right hand by Cardona.
I think Phillips is waiting too much in this fight. He's got some good numbers behind him, but not good enough compared to Cardona, and he is always the one going from corner to corner.
What does it take to destroy Santos Cardona? And have you seen him in any round in which he doesn't throw a zillion punches?
Well, if Pernell Whitaker did not discourage him, although he simply outlanded him and outthrew him, nothing will discourage him. But for Phillips, the jab has to be out there. He has to make Cardona pay to get near him.
You know, Dave, that's the point, I think, more than anything. That Phillips jab has not been that effective. Nice right by Phillips, but Cardona just keeps coming. What else is new? Stay with us for round 7.
Throwing the left hook as he's been doing. Nice turn into there. He gets it in on Phillips. Cardona threw 40 more in that round, landed 6 less.
We head into round 7. Verno Phillips in the white trunks, Santos Cardona in the blue. They are battling for Phillips' WBO junior middleweight crown. There's the combination punches from Phillips. It is almost my rope that when you get to round 7, Verno Phillips is going to wake up and look, he's doing it.
He's switching now. He's going outside more now. And fighters have certain built-in alarms in their head. Okay, it's the second half of the fight. Time to come on. I've gotten past this point. There was a first and second half strategy in this fight. We'll see if Verno Phillips carries it up. You know, this is so intriguing and fun. You can see a rivalry with these guys, 3 fights, like some of the other fights you mentioned. And you mentioned Emil Griffith on his birthday. He was born this day in 1938.
I must have bet ESPN over
You knew that. That's why you said it. And there's the example of what we talked about. Phillips, far more economical. What will the judges reward?
Hey, how about this? In their last fight in round 6, Cardona threw 104 and landed 32. Phillips threw 62 and landed 30. Almost identical.
Are you sure we didn't put on the tape of the first fight?
This is really wild. Round 7, halfway through the round. Cardona keeps coming. Phillips is boxing effectively in this round, I think. Right hand gets in by Cardona.
And you were talking before about fighters going to certain things by habit. Phillips knows how good the second half of the fight was for him last time. This is his confident stage of the fight. He must bring that out.
Verno Phillips, a 25-year-old from upstate New York who won the title against Lupi Aquino, has defended it twice. But that second defense against Santos Cardona was a tough one. This is third defense. This one no easier. Nice uppercut by Phillips.
And he's making Cardona lunge now with his shots, which he was not doing earlier in the bout. Cardona launching from further away. And some more Phillips switching here.
Let's see if Cardona matches it as he did before.
Good right hook there from Phillips on the southpaw style.
Again, the body work by Cardona. And again, a warning from Rudy Battle. That would look legal to me.
And you see Phillips putting punches together for the first time in a while, getting 3 shots in.
A round in which Verno Phillips started out good, but Cardona continued the pressure. I'm at a loss to think who might have won that one. Good job tonight, Ben. We'll be back for round 8.
What happens when a car offers the comfort?
Well, Phillips is doing a little bit more now. The right hand, Cardona goes underneath, and Phillips puts a couple shots together. A rare sight for him.
We head into round 8. It is scheduled for 12. It has been quite an entertaining matchup. 25-year-old Verno Phillips, 29-year-old Santos Cardona. Phillips is the champion, and they have waged an intriguing battle, not unlike their first match in November.
Cardona has to be in total recollection of the first fight as to what happened in the second half. He did not do enough. He must come in and do more in the second half of this fight. Even if he believes he's ahead, even if the corner is happy, do more. You're trying to take the title away.
Nice combination there, and there you see the numbers. Let me point something out about this. In the last fight, Cardona threw 106 punches, and in the last fight, Phillips threw 67 in this same round. How about that? I mean, it's almost a mirror image.
And Phillips won that round that time and probably took it here, too.
Good work on the inside by both men there. Phillips moves away. The big difference in this fight maybe is Phillips has not allowed himself to stay on the inside with Cardona quite as much. But I don't know if that turned out to be good.
Well, he made up a lot of ground with the last 6 rounds of the fight. We'll see what he does. Now he's a little busier outside, which he was not in the first 6 rounds of the fight. What is puzzling is, if you can do this now, if you're Phillips, why not early in the fight? Why do you have to give those rounds away?
I really don't get it. And, you know, Verno's a very fine fighter, and we've seen him in many good performances, but it just takes him a while to get that engine going.
And the danger there is, say a fighter has a tremendous second half of the fight, but loses one of those rounds when he needs them all.
Now, Phillips is having a good round 8 here. Nice uppercut by Phillips from the left-handed stance. So he's making Cardona pay when he moves to lefty.
And Cardona did not answer with the southpaw style, which he did the first couple of times that Phillips went lefty.
And it's interesting, the first couple times it froze Phillips and he went back to righty, but the last 2 times he hasn't done it. Phillips has stayed as a lefty. Half a minute left to go here in round 8. Another very close round. And you will have to look a long time before you see about which 2 men have committed themselves to body work as much as these 2. Phillips continues to move. And that'll do it for that round. We'll follow Verno Phillips into this corner. This is Kevin Pompey in the upper left, the man I told you about who fought Santos Cardona. Let's listen in.
Come on. Give me time. One more time. Good round. Open your mouth. Okay? Yeah, nice, Vern. That's it. That's beautiful. You just keep moving like that, Vern. You'll be all right. He's tired. He's more tired than you. No, yeah, don't get crazy. Nice and easy. Keep your shots inside there. Remember what I told you. The last few seconds, you take the round away from this guy. Like you did now. This guy. Stay right there, Vern. Stay right there. Don't move. Don't move. Fear, baby. No fear. Come on. No fear.
Kevin Pompey rooting his friend and stablemate on, hoping he can do what he couldn't do, which was defeat Santos Cardona. Of course, Phillips did it once before in a very close fight. We head into round 9. And they told us earlier, the Santos Cardona people, they thought that Phillips would always try to steal rounds with the last 15 seconds, and that's just what we heard Tony Rodriguez telling him to do.
And yet Cardona was unable to answer that. Now, right now, you're seeing Phillips trying to establish a new part of the ring for himself. He went inside, scored, then came back out to the outside. He wants to get Cardona moving in a circle here and following him throughout the entire round.
Big left took a moment ago by Verno Phillips. That's the punch that worked so well for him in the first match.
We're seeing Cardona throwing his shots further outside now, and as a result, Phillips is timing that and getting some counter shots off. And for the first time in the last couple of rounds, he may be toying with Cardona a little bit.
Now, Cardona told us he thought he was in the best condition of his career tonight. And yet, it does look like he's slowing down a bit. Now, there he switches to lefty as Phillips does. And there's your scorecard. Very, very close.
The official, unofficial scorecard. Ask for it by name.
And are we right on those numbers?
No, there's one more point for Cardona.
So he Cardona would be 2 points up on your scorecard.
Cardona 2 points up.
Big uppercut by Verno Phillips. So Verno Phillips, just as he did in the first fight, in the exact same rounds, is starting to make his rally. And I got to tell you, it looks for all the world like we're headed for yet another controversial decision.
And when you look at Phillips on the outside, waiting for Cardona to come to him, if he wins these rounds, it is the hard way. When you fight like this, you have to be twice as good.
And the judges have to see those counter punches landing. Now, he has landed very effectively, and make no mistake, Cardona misses a lot of punches, a lot of block. There's a nice little uppercut by Verno Phillips, but your point is, it's a little harder that way.
When you're on the outside, you have to be twice as effective. You're throwing fewer shots. You have to be far more accurate.
So there's Cardona again going inside, working the body. Beautiful uppercut by Phillips. Boy, he has now gotten a beat on Cardona. Another one, 2 more.
This is what he was not doing earlier. He's letting his hands go after Cardona gets near.
So round 9 is over, but the fireworks are not, I assure you. Stay with us.
I'll never stop until I get your home sold.
Why? On the heat late in the round. Cardona coming forward. Look at Phillips landing as he's backing up, then blocking as he goes in. It's a tough way to fight. That's why Cardona is not getting to him as much as he was before.
We head into round 10. It is scheduled for 12. Verno Phillips' WBO Junior Middleweight Title on the line. He is in the white. Santos Cardona is in the blue. Santos Cardona coming in here with 29-5 with 19 KOs. Phillips 24-4-1 with 13 KOs. But it's the title that they're worried about, not their record.
And in round 9, Phillips outlanding Cardona, though Cardona outthrew him more than 2-1.
That will be the dilemma of the judges. So if they see those punches from Phillips, and they certainly were there, here are the punches through round 9 in this fight.
And they're coming. They're still being...
Well, they're not so many of them. They'll be here shortly. But in the last fight, Cardona threw 916 punches to this point. I'm sure he's in the ballpark for this one, too.
Averaging the 100 punches a round. And Phillips in the backward stance there, outlanding him. So it will be a key question about how the judges are rewarding it. Does Phillips make Cardona look like the guy missing the shots?
Halfway through round 10.
I'm surprised Cardona has not adjusted back with Phillips staying back there. Cardona should be bobbing and weaving, getting forward, and trying to pound that body. He is letting Phillips dictate this pace, and Phillips is actually showing the term ring generalship, which doesn't come into play that much in the last 3 rounds of this fight. It has.
With a minute left to go in round 10, one thing Cardona has continued to do is use his jab as a rangefinder to get inside like there, but he hasn't thrown the body punches as much. Also, let's remember, Verno Phillips is countering him better on the inside.
He's ripping those uppercuts when Cardona gets in there. And also, late in the fight, Cardona naturally, both fighters a little bit tired. Cardona's reaction time to those counters is down. And Phillips is coming on.
Nice combination by Verno Phillips. And a hook by Phillips. This is a fight you have to pay attention to, especially if you're judging. Not easy. The last seconds of the bout, the round usually belong to Verno Phillips. Let's see if he comes on with a rush as he normally does. Cardona coming forward, but it's Phillips landing counter punches. We'll head down the stretch when we come back.
Control. A veritable potpourri as you see Phillips on the outside, ripping some combinations off. Also gets caught with a left hook by Cardona. A rare weapon for Santos Cardona.
We head into the 11th. It is close. It has been exciting. Verno Phillips and Santos Cardona. It has been much like the first fight. Early rounds, probably going to Santos Cardona, and since the middle of the fight, Phillips has come on. But each round has been close. Now they wage a war on the inside. Here are the punches for the next round. Now, how about this? In the last fight, he goes up there for a second. In the last fight, Cardona threw 1,020 punches, landed 342. In the last fight, Phillips landed 675, or 326, and threw 675. So you can see how close those numbers are.
So basically what you're saying is Cardona's not as big as his last fight.
Oh, he just took a few rounds off. And he's less accurate.
Those 12 punches are big.
So remarkable similarities between these two fights.
And here it comes down to deadline time. 5 punches difference. You can't separate them on the scorecard. Phillips has done what he said he would do in the second half of the fight.
Nice jab from the southpaw stance. What is it about Verno Phillips? Why doesn't he start till the 6th round?
In long title fights, camps and fighters set up strategies and they break the fight down into segments. Sometimes it's in third and sometimes it's in half. Now for Verno Phillips, he took a big risk waiting this long. He could have gone to this style. Even if he did it in round 5, he'd have a bit of a cushion here.
Big left hook by Verno Phillips. He is having himself an excellent 11th round. Cardona keeps coming forward, but this time he is getting picked apart. Good right hand by Verno Phillips. And the hook gets in, and the right gets in.
And why didn't now Cardona starts thinking about it, but does not go to the southpaw style? He could have taken Phillips out of that.
This fight is absolutely a dead ringer for the first fight. Under a minute left to go in round 11. And now we have to applaud Rudy Battle's patience in not taking any points away from those low blows. They stopped throwing low blows, didn't they? He kept it even. Patience by the veteran referee. Under a half minute left to go in round 11. This one will go down to the wire. There will be a decision. There will be gnashing of teeth. And somebody is going to be mad, even if it is a draw. There's 1 round to go. There is Santos Cardona.
Water, man.
A young man who has fought 11 tough rounds. Faded a bit in the last few, though.
And if you're going to look at the draw and who would be mad, the guy who won't be mad would be Verno Phillips. If that happened, he would keep his title.
That's true.
That's key going into a fight because it's a tiebreaker and it makes the other fighter gamble more in a close fight.
That's true. He would welcome a draw. Let's listen in to Verno's corner.
Good talk. This is the last round? Yep. Last round, Verno. You've got to take this round. I mean, outright. You get in and out. All right. You hear?
As you see Phillips getting the big right hand there as he makes Cardona miss. In that round, Phillips outlanded Cardona 57-21. Wow. By far his biggest margin of the fight. The first time he's really shown dominance. We talked about Phillips toying with Cardona before. He certainly has in the last couple.
So on the heels of that great 11th round, Phillips sails into the 12th, hoping that this championship round will be his and his title will remain around, the belt will remain around his waist.
Well, Phillips did not give himself much margin for error by waiting until the second half of the fight to do this. But on the other hand, he hasn't made any errors.
He has been superb over the last 4 or 5 rounds for sure. And has even inched ahead in the overall numbers. So despite the preponderance of punches thrown by Cardona, more have been landed by Phillips, and there you see it.
And Cardona outlanded Phillips in the first fight. This time Phillips landed 304. And Cardona's on a pace. He would probably be about 100 punches less landed in this fight over the last fight by the time it ends.
Yeah, he landed a lot more in the last fight.
400 in that neighborhood, a little over 400 for Santos Cardona. 263 now. That's a substantial statement for Verno Phillips.
Cardona landed 374 at this point in the last fight, so he is way down, over 130 punches down in terms of numbers that he landed. Halfway through round 12, the final round, Verno Phillips continues to box well, lands a huge uppercut. Cardona shakes his head as if it didn't hurt him, but it got there, and there's the hook by Phillips.
And remember, when we were talking halfway through, it was a mirror image. Cardona had landed about the same. So his fade has been all in the last 5 rounds.
Verno Phillips showing what he's all about. That is that you can take him to these later rounds, but boy, you better be ready to fight when you get to the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Phillips whacking away on the inside and countering well.
And also, Sean, that you better have a big lead over him after 6 rounds, because Cardona created a cushion for himself, but just not big enough. We believe.
He is the Dave Waddle of boxers. He can never be too far behind. That's for you obscure sports aficionados. The great 800-meter runner from the past.
72 Olympics.
Half a minute left to go here in round 12, and it looks as if Verno Phillips might be pulling this out with a rally in the last few rounds, but believe me, we're not going to go out on a limb on that one.
Well, it certainly appears that Verno Phillips has swept the last 6 rounds of this fight, and again, a boxer of Cardona's caliber, that's quite an accomplishment.
Great work on the inside, a huge left hook by Phillips. Then whale away on the inside, lands a big right hand. Well, it ended just like the last one did, with a terrific flurry. This crowd is on their feet, and why not? Predictably, both men were raised in victory. Well, I said it before, somebody is going to be mad.
Okay.
And so, as we await this decision, in the last round, some startling numbers.
Cardona, 38 for 146, 26%.
Wow.
Phillips, 67
Oh, my.
for 112, 60%. And over the last 2 rounds, Phillips landing about 60 punches more after what had been a tight fight. He pulls it out on my card by 2 points.
So you have him winning by 2 points. How about this? How about the fact that Cardona landed 38 punches in the last round, didn't come close to winning it?
No, and being outpunched totally. Cardona, 1295 through 12, 301 landed, 75 less than the first time, and Phillips outlanding him by 70 punches in the fight, and the majority of them in rounds 11 and 12. After round 10, remember, we had only a 5-punch difference. Now we have a 70-punch difference.
A happy Verno Phillips with his pal Kevin Pompey next to him. He feels he won this fight, but then the Cardona camp felt they wanted. Dave scored it a 2-point victory for that man, Verno Phillips, and if that holds true, he would retain his WBO Junior Middleweight Championship. They are taking a while as we look at Santos Cardona with the scorecards. They want to make sure that they have it accurate. We want to remind you that SportsCenter coming up next. Dramatic and tearful testimony in the O.J. Simpson trial. The drama is building there. And Chris Webber returns to the Bullets, and they need a shot in the arm, so maybe he'll provide it. That's all coming up next on SportsCenter here on ESPN. Plenty of drama here. Not quite like the courtroom, but pretty dramatic as we await the winner of this bout.
Well, interesting that Cardona's total, 1295, the 6th highest ever thrown. But if he loses this fight, it tells you something else. It's not how many you throw, it's the quality, and also that you just can't be throwing shots out there. Maybe it's better to throw a little less, maybe 900, and win the fight.
So, as we await this decision, and we are crushed for time, so we will not have a chance to talk to the winner of this match. And Chuck Cease is getting it together up there, and in a moment or two, we expect him to have this. You can't ask for much more suspense than this, that's for sure.
It always makes people worry when it takes a long time, but we're ready.
Chuck Cease is up there. Let's go to him right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision in our main event.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Judge Gino Rodriguez scores about 115-113 for Verno Phillips. Judge Jackie Castellani scores about 115-113 for Santon Cardona. And Judge John Stewart scores about 116-112 for your winner and still champion Verno Phillips.
So Verno Phillips scored a 2-point winner by Dave Bontempo, is also the winner on the judges' scorecards. Again, a terrific fight. Great effort by Santos Cardona. For Dave Bontempo, I'm Al Bernstein. We'll see you next time.